All right, got a lot to talk about. National Signing Day is just hours away. Penn is meeting paper here very, very soon for the future of college football. And to break it all down, the man, the myth, the legend, national recruiting analyst for us here at On3, does phenomenal work on the Inside Scoop, Josh Newberg, joining the program. Josh, how we doing, my guy? Penn meeting paper here very, very soon.
We're clocked in and locked in over here, JD.
Always clocked in and locked in. Are you sleeping? Is it just caffeine keeping you running right now, or what's the process right now leading into signing day for you?
You know, they say coffee naps are the best sleep you can get. So the key is to get real tired, slam a cup of coffee, fall asleep before the caffeine kicks in, and then you just wake up 20 minutes later ready to go. Boom. Supercharged.
Boom. I love it, man. Revving the engine a little bit. Well, we got to talk about one of the best quarterbacks in the country doing a little flip action, throwing the flip-flops on. Dante Moore saying, you know what, Oregon's great. However, I want to play early. Dante to L.A. becomes a reality. He's going to UCLA to join Chip Kelly and company. How did this happen? Talk to us.
Oh, I love the fit. Wasn't expecting it at all. I know the great Chad Simmons had come on the Inside Scoop several times and had put it on our radar that Dante Moore was looking around when he took that official visit to UCLA a week ago. Chad noted that they had made a very strong, quote, strong NIL offer. The opportunity was there. And then I think the icing on the cake, Bo Nix announcing that he intended to return to play one more season at Oregon, I think really opened the door. If Dante was kind of teetering on that decision, the Bo Nix coming back might have just pushed him over the ledge. And it looks like he's going to sign with UCLA tomorrow. Shouldn't have any issues there, right, JD? No issues.
Yeah, right. That's always a thing on signing day. You just expect the expected. It'll all go as planned. Of course, we're being facetious here, but Dante Moore deciding he's going to UCLA just adds to the already high-powered offenses that are in the Pac-12 conference, UCLA being one of them already. Now they get the piece of the future for their offense with Chip Kelly. Dante Moore going to UCLA, playing early was a big deal here. Is it a foregone conclusion he'll be the starter day one? You think it'll be a quarterback battle? What's the conversation for him as he heads to Westwood?
Look, I think the skill set is there. The ability is there. The size. He has all the measurables. He has the speed. He has all the tools to go in and play right away. Now his transition to the team is gonna be what matters. You know, does he pick up the playbook? Now Chip Kelly's been through this before many a time with many different quarterbacks, and some that are very familiar and that look like Dante Moore, that play like Dante Moore. So I think Chip Kelly will have him ready to go, and I think he'll have every opportunity to earn that starting job as a freshman.
Yeah, that speedy release, one of the things that Charles Power, director of scouting rankings at On3, that he loves about Dante Moore, one of the reasons why he's one of the top quarterbacks in the country. Dante Moore, one of the most recent dominoes in the flip watch season to fall. Who else are you keeping an eye on as we get closer and closer to Penn meeting paper?
Everybody. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, for real though. That's kind of a joke, kind of not really though.
First on my radar would be five-star offensive tackle Caden Proctor, the Iowa commit who has been solid to Iowa throughout. Started looking around a couple weeks ago. It was Oregon. Then there was whispers about Colorado, but last weekend he showed up in Tuscaloosa, Alabama on an unofficial visit. The Tide had been recruiting him since his decision to commit to Iowa, and evidently they never gave up. Nick Saban gets Caden Proctor on campus. Now he's expected to sign tomorrow at 8:45 a.m. Where he'll sign, you'll have to tune in to the live show that we're doing here on 3 tomorrow to find out. So we'll see Caden Proctor. It looks like he's trending to Alabama. That would be a monster one. Another one we're tracking is five-star safety Peyton Bowen. He's committed to Notre Dame. Notre Dame's only five-star commitment in the class. So they are hanging on for dear life. But Oklahoma and Texas A&M are working their butts off to try to flip him tomorrow. We also have David Hicks. He's the #1 defensive lineman in America. He looked like it was maybe Oregon, maybe Oklahoma, but Texas A&M was able to get him on campus last weekend, and it seems like they may have solidified his commitment, and he's right now expected to sign with the Aggies tomorrow, but that's a big one to watch. I'm also watching Andy Jean, a 4-star wide receiver that is committed to Florida, took an official visit to Florida State last weekend. He's kind of up in the air. We'll see what he does tomorrow. A lot of people have him at 50-50. Then you also have edge rusher Keldrick Falk, a 4-star out of the state of Alabama that is committed to Florida State, but the in-state Auburn Tigers got him on campus on Sunday. Get this. He visited the school he's committed to on Friday, Saturday. Then he leaves campus on Sunday and heads to Auburn to hear from Hugh Freeze one last time before the dead period begins. So Keldrick Falk got in front of FSU coaches and Auburn coaches over the weekend. He's 50-50 heading into tomorrow. So there's a couple others, but those are some of the big things that we'll be watching that at least is on our radar. Because inevitably tomorrow there will be things that are not on our radar taking place. So fun day ahead.
It's going to be something, man. And Keldrick Falk making a little bit of some speed dating heading into National Signing Day. But no, I'm glad you mentioned that. If you're not subscribed, don't have the bell notification hit, you're very much so leaving yourself vulnerable to missing out. So make sure you're subscribed. Great content coming from Josh Newberg on the Inside Scoop, keeping you covered for all things recruiting centric. We got you covered here on the Hard Count. 12 months a year we're covering college football. This is the place you want to be. So make sure you're locked in with us. Going back to Caden Proctor for a quick second, if you're the Iowa staff, your heart just has to drop when you see that, oh, he paid his own way to get to Tuscaloosa, and he was with Nick Saban before signing day. Like, that's just a dagger. Just a dagger.
You got to play to the heartstrings. You got to play to the fact that you've been committed to us for so long. Don't you want to stay in state and play closer to family? I mean, there's not much else you can do when Nick Saban's circling the wagons, but I think that's all Iowa. That's their card right now, is to play to the heartstrings and try to make him remember why he committed to Iowa in the first place. But they didn't get that last face-to-face contact with him. Nick Saban did.
What does Chad always say, Josh? Bama's going to Bama?
Bama's going to Bama.
Bama's going to Bama, and Bama is in position to Bama.
Yeah, they're currently Bama-ing.
They're Bama-ing hard, man, as they always do leading into National Signing Day. Currently the #1 class in the On3 consensus team recruiting rankings. We'll have that locked in for you tomorrow on our National Signing Day show on this program. I want to get your thoughts on this. When it comes to official visits and unofficial visits, do the unofficials tell you a little bit more as it gets closer to signing day? Because for the folks at home, official visits, the schools pay your way to get to campus, and it's essentially a paid visit. Not essentially, it is a paid visit. Unofficial visits, you're paying your way, which conventional wisdom would say there has to be a little bit of investment, and investment emotionally if you're paying your way to go visit a school this late in the process, no?
Yes. There is something to that for sure. But I also look at just the pure scheduling, regardless of whether it's an official or an unofficial. You look at where, say, Desmond Ricks went, right? Desmond Ricks went to Alabama, then he took a trip to Florida last weekend, 2 weekends ago, the 9th, and then he was at LSU this weekend. Now, those were all official visits, but Desmond Ricks made it a point that he wanted to end his final weekend in Louisiana, whether that's official or unofficial. Desmond Ricks controlled that. So I'm just using that as an example. But, where these prospects end up last, I pay attention to that. Now, if it is an unofficial visit and it's a place like, say, they used their one unofficial to that school during the summer, and now they're going to use their own money to pay for one more last trip, I would look into that as a very good sign for the team that's, got them on campus. But ultimately, I really just think it comes down to scheduling, and if you follow the visits long enough, it'll usually lead you right to the source.
Make sure you're following Josh Newberg. If you don't want to follow the visits as closely as maybe he does, it's not going to steer you astray. Josh, who are some big fish that are still out there? We've talked about this a lot leading into signing day, but who's still uncommitted that we're keeping a close eye on that could be swing guys for some of these classes?
Well, I just mentioned Desmond Ricks. He's a 5-star corner at IMG Academy, a really thrilling kind of way that he made it here. He started the season as a class of 2024 prospect. About 2 months ago, he reclassified to 23, and he's going to sign tomorrow. So talk about a whirlwind recruitment there. You got Quay Rousseau and James Smith, 2 teammates out of Carver High School in Alabama, 2 5-star teammates, not just any teammates, but 2 5-stars on the same team at Carver High School. They're going to make their decision tomorrow. They're uncommitted, and I expect them to stay in state. Now, I know the Gators have been pushing hard, but I think this comes down to Alabama and Auburn. Going to be really exciting, but you know what they say, Bama's going to Bama, right?
Bama's going to Bama. Good old-fashioned Iron Bowl.
And then we got
going down the recruiting trail.
four-star defensive tackle Jordan Hall. He's going to make us wait a day, and he's going to announce his decision on Thursday. It's going to be either Georgia or Florida there. Both teams really need some help on the defensive line, so we'll see what happens there from the four-star out of Jacksonville. And then, it doesn't all end tomorrow. There are some prospects, some big-time prospects, that are actually going to wait until February to sign. Remember when signing day used to be in February?
Yeah.
Well, Nicholas Harbor, the #1 athlete in America, he's also a track star. He's going to wait until February to sign. So there's still some firepower left on the board. Also, the #1 tight end in America, Deuce Robinson, out of the state of Arizona, has not made his decision. He's a baseball player. He's going to play in the spring for his high school, so he'll be signing in February as well. So if you don't get all of your excitement tomorrow, there's going to be some more in February as well.
The sport never stops. It's a 12-month-a-year sport, whether it's recruiting, whether it's games. The sport never stops.
That's why we love it, right?
It's why we love it. And this is awesome. I'm glad you said this is why we love this sport so much, because we're talking about it now. We're going to talk about it in February, too. And then guess what? 2024 cycle kicks up, or will continue to kick up as we keep on going here. Josh, why do prospects wait the day till after signing day? Like you said, Desmond Ricks isn't going to sign on the signing day, but he's signing on Thursday. It makes sense for a guy like Deuce Robinson, who's still going to play his spring sport in baseball. For Desmond Ricks, why is he waiting that extra day in your mind?
Well, National Signing Day is actually just the first day that you're allowed to sign. It opens up a window where prospects are allowed to sign. I think it's open for about a week, and then it closes, and then it opens up again in February. Maybe he needs another day to think about it. I don't think that's it. Sure. I think the lights are a little bit brighter when you don't have to share them. So, you move your decision a day back, and it's Desmond Ricks Day. Well, also Jordan Hall, but Desmond Ricks as well.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a ton of sense. And in some sense, too, in the day and age of NIL being a big deal when it comes to recruiting. Josh, you talk to a lot of people in the recruiting world. Is NIL, a factor in the majority of these commitments to this point? Maybe a reason why Desmond Ricks is moving his commitment to the next day after signing day?
Maybe not. Now that I'm thinking about it, in terms of NIL and brand building, it might not be bad to push your signing one day back. It starts the process of building your brand. Less people, you get the spotlight. Now, as far as NIL goes, I do think that NIL is heavily involved in this year's signing day. We're going to continue to see NIL make a major impact in terms of not only players inking deals, right? But also just the idea of, hey, if I go to this school, the big brands support it. There's players on this team. I'm looking at this roster. There's players on this team that have inked deals. So, okay, if I go to this school, there's proof of concept there that if I perform on the football field, there will be opportunities for me to make money.
It's kind of the day and age of how much can I make if I come to your school? Not kind of, it very much is. And I think you hit it on the head saying we're going to start seeing more and more data on that as the years go on. But this is kind of, let's be real. This is kind of the guinea pig class in some sense. Because July 2021 was when it became a reality. And now we've got more collectives with their ducks in a row. And I don't know. The whole thing is going to be fascinating when we look back in 5 to 10 years and kind of examine how NIL has grown and will continue to develop over the coming years. Josh, I'll send you out of here with this. Who has the most at stake tomorrow in signing day? Who are some of the big movers you could see from a team and program perspective?
Well, Miami's been on the march, I should say. They started about 7 days ago in the 8 spot. We woke up this morning, they're in the 3 spot. So Miami is already on the move. I think if they can finish right there at number 3, that would be a heck of a class considering they did not make a bowl game this year. Texas has been outside the top 5. They're right there battling for a spot within the 5. Notre Dame, they're the team that I would watch to drop. And they could drop like a rock if they lose 5-star Peyton Bowen. Like I said, they're only 5-star commitment, and Notre Dame also doesn't have a lot of firepower left on the board to replace that ranking. So if Peyton Bowen were to flip, they're currently, I think, at 5 or 6 right now. They were as high as 3 just 8 days ago. So if they lose Peyton Bowen, I could see Notre Dame falling out of the top 10. Gators are hanging on right now by a thread at number 9, number 8, number 9, right in that range. So there's going to be some movement. I think 1 and 2 are pretty solidified with Alabama and Georgia. If Georgia was able to do something and pull a Damon Wilson, a Jordan Hall, and I don't know if the numbers are there for Georgia to overtake Alabama right now, but there is going to be a lot of movement on National Signing Day.
Yeah, I mean, even if the Dogs finish at number 2, not a bad class for Kirby and the Dogs to be able to be in that top 3 yet again as they consistently just stack class upon class upon class, and then Bama hanging them there at 1. So it'll be fun to watch, though. But Josh, you and me tomorrow on this desk, clocked in and locked in, caffeine levels through the roof. It's going to be a good time, man. I'm fired up.
I can't wait for it, JD.
Awesome.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Appreciate you, brother. Again, Josh Newberg. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, maybe you don't love the hard count. That's fine. Doesn't hurt my feelings because the Inside Scoop is also on this channel. And Josh Newberg does a phenomenal job on that show. Also follow him on Twitter. All the scoop, all the intel. Josh Newberg's got you covered. National Signing Day, just hours away. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.